American music. We're delighted to have you here at Uncovering Roots featuring Valerie June. We are also thrilled to have Jesse Scott joining us as today's moderator. Most of her time programming NPR's first all music Americana radio station, WMOT, right here in Middle Tennessee. Please welcome to the NMAAM stage, Jesse Scott.
It is. And it works. How are you, everybody? Thanks for being here today. Such a special day to be at the National Museum of African American Music as we welcome Grammy and three-time Americana Honors and Awards nominee Valerie June. She is here to open. And you have a mic, too. She's here to open the new Uncovering Roots exhibition here at the museum. And we are also here to celebrate your brand new album. Welcome, Valerie June.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, my God. Y'all are beautiful.
So great to see you.
Thank you. Oh, God. It's great to see you.
All your colors.
Your colors. You're radiant.
So are you. And I love this.
Me too. I love the colors. The museum did a really great job. They did a great job.
Super cool. And what you're wearing is amazing, but you always wear amazing clothing.
Well, thank you. I like fashion. I found this skirt. Trombone Shorty invited me to Cuba this year because he donates hundreds of instruments to the students there because they don't have as much as we have here in America. And they're brilliant musicians, these young elementary and middle school students. And so he invited me over to Cuba for the first time, and I went with Semifunk and a bunch of musicians, and a shopkeeper was making these skirts. So I was like, I have to have one. So I got it from her.
And you put it together with fringe, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know anybody else that would have done that.
I had about 10 minutes to pack. I really did. I was like, tulle, fringe, boots, silver, sparkles, whatever. Throw
And
it
your
in.
boots are always so cool, too. I mean, I could go on and on. I love your fashion sense.
Thank you. I
And
love
I
your
love
colors.
this. Thank you. I love this new record.
Well,
It is a tour de force and a long time coming. In between, I always wait anxiously for your next album. So it's just an expression of all of the things that you are, all the joy, all the love, all the energy. Do you want to talk about making this new one?
yes. And I will tell you that while you do wait anxiously, because it's usually about 3 or 4 years between records for me, that'll be because I'll put the record out and I'll have that cycle of 18 months with the record and doing press and sharing it and touring. And then I'll tour solo for about a year, and then I'll start working on the record. So in my solo touring, I was sharing my book, Somebody to Love, which I got to share here on this stage and read for kiddos from all the ages, from 3 up. And I also shared it at the Newport Folk Festival. And while I was on stage performing for toddlers and adorable little kiddos, M. Ward was going on stage about maybe an hour after we were at. And I said, I gotta get over there to the M. Ward stage. And I managed to make it over there right as he was backstage preparing himself. And I said, I'm your biggest fan. And he was like, yeah, okay. And he said, would you like to sing with me today? And I said, absolutely. And so we did Undertaker together. And after we got off stage, I said, I really want you to produce a record for me. And he said, I would love to. Well, time passed, and I did some more shows and saw him at Hardly Strictly Bluegrass Festival. And the same thing happened. He invited me to be on stage, and it felt right to work with him. And so we planned a time, and we made it happen finally. But it took about a year of me meeting at this festival and that festival, not knowing that we were going to be booked on the same day, and then surprise, the synchronicities of it all, you know?
Ships in the night,
Yes.
you know?
Mhm.
It's a great title, too. Owls, Omens, and Oracles. It's so you.
That's true. Yeah, you know, we have a family land here in Tennessee, and behind the house there's a pond. And one morning I woke up and I was having my tea because I start the day with tea. And I went down there to make my tea, and the fog was rolling in on the pond. And I looked out the window, and across the pond there is a post, a fence, it's wire and some beat up posts, and there was an owl on the post. And it was staring in the window at me, and I was staring out at it. And this happened 3 times over the course of a year and a half. And we've had that land for 30 years. I have never seen an owl. I've seen muskrats, I've seen snakes, lizards, I've seen coons, I've seen the great blue heron, lots of animals. Never an owl. And this one visited me for 3 times. I was like, okay, I got to find out about you. What are you trying to tell me? And so that's when I started to do some research about what they mean. And they carry, like, there's the wise old owl in all children's books and fables from Harry Potter on. And so they're very wise, but they also understand mystery. They have a hint of being able to see in the dark. They're such, their vision, nocturnal vision is excellent. And so when I thought about that, I was like, well, if they're able to see in the dark, then what does that mean for us? And that's what I'm exploring with this record. How do we use like dark times as an experiment of expressing joy, love, beauty, when we could just stay in the darkness in our hearts? So looking for signs in every day, like for example, today, this is a weird one. But I got up and I went to the spa. It's not a spa, it's just a sauna because I need to do that for my voice. It's like having a hot tea for your entire body. And so I was in there and I noticed a puddle of sweat in the shape of a heart. And I was just like, that's my omen for today. It's just a heart, just something simple. Or sometimes I'll be walking down the street and I'll see some chewing gum and it's in the shape of a heart. And I'm like, that's my sign for today. So we get signs all throughout the day that can be something that is a reminder to stay sharp, stay in your positivity, stay in your beauty, because everything's trying to pull you away from it all the time.
It's a present time exercise.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of the titles on the album is such a positive statement. I am in love. Where'd that come from?
Well, I wrote that song a while ago. So people have been listening to this record. They're like, Valerie seems very in love. I'm like, oh my God. They think I'm in passionate love. I am in love all the time with something different all the time. It might be the way my tea was brewed or that I got to have a tea party with little Rainey or whatever. That's what I did this morning too, is had a tea party with my niece, which is fun. That was something that made me feel love. And we have opportunities all the time to experience love. But the song asks the question, is it just words or is it something I do? So it's a call to action that we just don't fall in love, but we have to show it in the things we do. And that's always a challenge. 2 husbands later, I'm still trying to figure all that out.
3 for me.
So we'll find our way. Just keep loving and keep believing, you know.
Well, that whole gratitude thing, too, is just when you can say you are in love in this moment, whatever it is, you know, is such a great, graceful, you know, it's such a wonderful place to experience life from.
It is. And the song also says, what does it mean? Is it just words or something I do? What does it mean? Mean when it hurts to love you. And so a lot of times with songs and life in general, things can be personal to me, but I expand the personal to like all living beings. Like, what does it mean to me? Then what does it mean to my sister? Then what does it mean to my brother? Then what does it mean to people on the other side of the planet? Then what does it mean throughout the planet and all the way into the stratosphere? What does this moment mean? And so, what does it mean when it hurts? It hurts to love you. There's so much that, when I sang that song, I had to record a version of it for No Depression yesterday, and I just ended it in tears. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull it off on stage because there is a lot of hurt involved in loving and loving strangers and people you don't know in the world and ways of being and systems and things, And so I always ask the question in workshops, what about the systems do we love? What about the systems is working? What about the systems is beautiful? Because we can always see what's not working. And I can sit all day on the porch and talk about what's not working. But I want to know what's making us in love, and work from that space versus the space of what's not working.
Well, the other part of putting a song out in the universe is you never know how it's going to strike someone and what might happen with that song in their lives. And that's such a beautiful thing to be able to communicate that way through the airwaves, through molecules where you're not even in the same room necessarily with them, but that your music impacts their lives is an amazing gift to everybody that hears it.
Yes, I have been at weddings where I wasn't there, but the song was. So I think that song might make it to somebody's wedding. We'll see. There's Somebody to Love, which is a song where so many people have been like, I used that song at my wedding. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm glad I got to be there. And then some people say that they gave birth to Astral Plane. I'm like, well, that's kind of cool. A little baby got to come in listening to that song, So I don't know once I put the songs out how they're going to be received or where they're going to end up. And I think that's one of the cool things about songs. I say songs are living because they live even after this writer or whoever first sang it is gone, So maybe some of my old dusty songs will be around when I'm gone.
Oh, now, I'm sure they will. You talk about your songs as if, well, they're dreams that come to you and they manifest, they have their own path that they want to walk. And you've talked about that in the past. Did that happen a lot on this record too? Or did you have a different frame to make this one?
Definitely that happened on this record. The reason why is because a lot of the songs were written like maybe 10, 20 years ago. And so they've been waiting patiently for their right combination of musicians, producers, studio feeling, time period to come to the forefront. One song on there called Love and Let Go I wrote when I lived in Memphis. And I wrote that song in a dream because I write songs. I don't sit down to write songs. I write songs while I'm doing things. Like if I'm washing dishes or if I'm driving or if I'm boarding a plane or if, in this case, I'm sleeping. So it was about 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, right near the time when I'm going to wake up. And I saw these little lights flying all around me in the dream. And then I heard that voice. And I knew when I woke up that I had been crying in my sleep because my eyes were so closed with tears that I could hardly open them. But yeah, I heard that voice and I remembered every single thing that it sang. And I captured it right then before I went to work. And I have only received 3 dream songs in my life. So when they come, I feel so lucky. And I know I'm not crazy because Emmylou Harris and Townes Van Zandt, they receive songs in dreams. Other songwriters do it too. I'm not the only one. I wish it would happen every night. But
It would keep you up.
Yeah, it would. I wouldn't get hardly any sleep.
It's a divine thing, when a song appears like that in its entirety and just drops into your consciousness. It's really amazing. And it's such an amazing gift to all of us because I really look at music as just this incredible common ground where we all can experience, we all can feel, and even if you can't speak the language, you feel it. And that's amazing too. So thank you for making song. I mean, among all the art that you do so much but song especially is important right now.
It's one of my favorite ways to create because I'm just kind of feeling it and letting it come through. Sometimes when I co-write, then I go into my different journals and I have little skeletons. Not all songs come at once, like that song came all at once. So when I get a piece of a song, then I will just get that down in my journal or like iPhone or whatever. And then I'll go in with another writer and we'll be talking about what's going on with us and something will come to mind and I'll be like, I have a little skeleton piece and I'll start singing it and they will have the other side of the puzzle. And different writers hear different ways too. I ask these questions of many songwriters when I meet them. I'm like, how do you write? Some hear like drums, some hear symphonies, some hear only bass, some like people. I'm not the only one hearing this. People hear all kinds of ways from wherever. I don't know where it's coming from, but it's coming to us and I'm grateful.
Let's explore some of the themes on this record. I think one of the most prominent is freedom.
Yes, it's funny because that song by Richie Havens, Freedom, where he sang at Woodstock, came to me again this week. I was like, wow, that we still need that theme. That was in the 60s, and we still need the theme of freedom. And I just was like, wow, a lot of the themes that, someone like Mavis or Richie Havens or Tracy Chapman, many people that I respect and admire, a lot of their themes, we are still needing to hear those in song and put those into action. And so I think I'm just following in the footsteps of those that have come before me, and Carla Thomas being one of them. She is such a light person, such a joyful person. Booker T. Jones. And so these musicians are my elders that I've studied with. And then thinking about elders, it reminds me of a panel I was on in Vermont, Middlebury College. They had an event, Sea Change, and there was an indigenous elder there, and he was on a panel, and I walked in. I just finished mine, and I was listening in on what he was saying, and he said, in our tribe, we teach that we have to think about what we're doing 7 generations after us. What's it going to be like for 7 generations after us? And I was like, whoa, okay, you just totally changed the way I walk into this room and the way I walk out of this room. 7 generations? What were my people doing 7 generations ago? And I think about that and I'm like, whoa, what kind of oracle, what kind of ancestor do I want to be? Because we have that opportunity every moment of our day. And so many of the songs are just trying to guide our energy to ask that question of ourselves. Like there's a song on there called Trust the Path. And when people listen to that song, I don't want them to be listening to that song as if I'm telling them to trust the path. No, listen to that song in the first person, like your inner self is telling you to trust your path. I don't know what your path is. I don't know what kind of oracle you're supposed to be, your ancestor. Only you know that. So the songs, they come to me. I sing them as I hear them, but they're meant for you to put yourself in that driver's seat. Even with I Am in Love, don't be thinking Val's in love. Think you're in love, and make it your own and live inside the song and receive whatever message the song is supposed to have for you, because songs mean something different to everyone.
Well, these are such mantras almost. I mean, I Am in Love is a mantra. Trust the path is a mantra. And it's so important to tell people to do that because so many people don't. They live in either the fear or the, being scared of the future or bemoaning the past, and you can't be in the present if you're giving space in your brain to those things. So learning how to be in this moment comes through so strongly in your music. It always does. And it's really amazing how you can center yourself in this and get these words out and have them be beautiful. And, it's really purposeful. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I just try to live up to the songs, but I don't feel like I have to now. I used to really feel like I had to live up to it, but now I understand that it's something that It's just I'm a part of, you know? It's not an end result. It's a process more so because I was afraid to share before the pandemic that side of myself that is more spiritual, more meditative, more in my prayers, more without ceasing, those kinds of sides of myself. But then after the pandemic, I was like, what is the fear? There, if you have a dream, go for it. If you fail, dust off, keep going. You know, like I was just like, just live, enjoy, fall, rise, and just be in the cycle of that versus it being like, okay, well, if I'm going to sing a song like Joy Joy, I have to be heavy. No.
Yet
How did
another
my
mantra.
ancestors experience joy? Having gone through so much heaviness, so much pain, so many heavy, doubtful, are we going to get there moments? Well, they must have still felt joy. I wouldn't be sitting here without it. And that's what I mean by joy, that you can have dark, heavy things on you, but you just, it ain't going to stop you. You are resilient. You're moving forward. You're calling forth. You're in it. And so that's the process. And it can take a long time. It could take generations, you know?
Failure is such an interesting concept that we lean into so heavily. And frankly, you know, when you, as my mother would say, you know, you fall down, you pick yourself up and you go and you learn those lessons. You learn that failure is a Polaroid of a moment and that you can, you know, take that lesson and be successful and just move on from there, which again, I mean, that's life. You should live every day, you know?
It's true. And then also finding that, like, redefining success collectively, not just individually. There's a writer I love, Robin Wall Kimmerer, and she has a new book out called The Serviceberry. She also wrote a book called Braiding Sweetgrass. But in The Serviceberry, she talks about the health of the entire community based on cooperation versus competition.
Yeah.
And I love that idea because we live in such a society and such a world where we are put to compare against each other and compete against each other. But in a cooperative economy and society, we will work together and there will be way more togetherness and more I see me as you and you see you as me. And so I love it because she uses the serviceberry, something in nature, as something that we can learn from. And she's a botanist. She's a great teacher. And so I like to do that as well. And that's why I don't care where I go. I got my place in New York. I'm on the road all the time, but I always go back to the pond and be in Tennessee because I need to be with nature and I need to see the great blue heron. And luckily, when I'm there, I do see it.
It's so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So what was the production like for this record?
Well, this production was so different in a lot of ways because when I walked into the studio, M was like, you need to come by and see if you like this studio because I happen to be in LA. And this was about 2 weeks before we were going to record and we needed to make sure that this was a space. So I dropped by and I walked in. It was like wooden panel walls, old 70s ones, not like these, but wooden walls everywhere. Gorgeous in the feeling because wood carries the sound and vibration so well. And they had sound booths off to the side. And I said, well, which sound booth is mine? And he was like, no, I don't record like that. We're recording everything all in this room. I said, well, what if I mess up? There's me going back to my, oh gosh, doubts. Maybe I'll fail. Maybe my voice will crack. Maybe this will happen. He said, well, if you mess up, you mess up. And we either keep the take or we don't. If a person coughs, if they sneeze, whatever. He's like, that's just how I record. Everything live to tape and everything this way. And so I said, okay. And we went on that adventure. And I love the liveliness of the recordings because some of the takes, I would go back and I would try to perfect a vocal or get a vocal better. But no, I love the feeling of the raw emotion I would get from listening to some of these takes. And so I wanted to share it pretty much in the form that it was.
Wow, that's amazing. And that's a letting go,
Yes.
you know?
So fear let go. So I'm like, oh, no. We got to fix it. We got to fix it. He's like, nope. And then when I got back to my little place at night and listened to it, I was like, he's right.
Wow. It's great trust, too.
Yes, that too took work. If you've worked with me before, you would know.
Well, I mean, for anybody, yeah, because it's written in stone.
Yeah,
It's forever.
it is. It is. So I enjoyed that live experience, and I enjoyed Nate Walcott. He arranged the horns and strings. So after we did the takes, we would have a day where we were like horn and string days. And Nate and I with we're in the studio with Pierre, and I'm like humming these different parts, with voices that I'm hearing. And Nate heard those voices, went back to his magic wizard world, and got it all, wrote the music, in notes so that when people came in, because I don't write, I just hear these, whatever might be coming to me. And he's able to translate all of that so that the viola, the violin, the cello, all of them know what they're doing versus us spending time, me going in there be like, no, no. No, they had it all written. So it took maybe an hour to do the strings and an hour to do the horns. And then Kavi Rastigar, he was also on Moon and Stars, which is the record I did before this. He played the bass, and he's amazing. Just such an amazing bass player. When I listen to the songs, I'm like, every time I listen to him, I'm like, whoa, that bass. And then there's Mr. Hodges, Stephen Hodges. He also performed with Tom Waits and Mavis Staples. And this when I first met him with Mavis, because M. Ward produced a record for Mavis, and they sang a song of mine called Living on the High Note. And she named a record after it. And so I was like, I love both of them because I got to be in the studio for that. And Mr. Stephen Hodges was there for that. And so when M was like, I know who the drummer should be, I said yes, without any argument, because I know that Stephen Hodges is one of the best drummers ever. And so that was our main cast of characters. And then I had DJ Cavum, Motivation, who is a friend I met at a yoga center in upstate in Massachusetts. And it was a bunch of creatives, all, different creatives from different backgrounds and all creatives of color. And there were people who made films, people who were poets, people who were dancers, actors, musicians. And all we were supposed to do is yoga on the side of a mountain. But if you get a bunch of creatives together, we are going to create. So we wrote the song Superpower, which is kind of center in the record, right after the one with the Blind Boys of Alabama. I got to work with the Blind Boys of Alabama. And then we put, after that, we were working on Sweet Things Just For You. And Em and I were like, it would be so nice to have a female voice on here, not my voice that was doing harmonies. And we both are friends with Nora Jones. And so Em was like, we should ask Nora. And I said, I'm scared. I'm nervous. And he said, I'll ask her. And because if she says no to him, he was like, I don't care if she says no. I'm like, yeah, if she says no, I'm going to be so sad or whatever. And so he sent her the song, and she was like, I'll absolutely sing on Sweet Things. So she's on there, and we just have like a whole cast of amazing musicians. And I feel lucky. I feel lucky that I got to do this.
Wow. I particularly love the feel for Love Me Anyway. You're taking us to New Orleans.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
it's so great there's just such spirit to it. So great.
That's New Orleans with Memphis on the side.
It's the Mojo Triangle, actually,
Yeah.
So Memphis to New Orleans to Nashville is like kind of the Big Bang of American music.
I would say so.
So there's people cross-pollinating from all of these places, and your music so represents that. For me, anyway.
Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you. The other one that I love is Changed. These are all mantra words, They really are such positive statements. And that one has kind of a gospel blues feel to it, which I love also.
Oh,
Good work.
it's very much like that. it says, "I know I've been changed," and that's just the chorus. And you can't live in the world and not be changed. And like I've been changed by so many things, by the industry, by creativity, by age, by society, and the blind boys are very careful about what they sing on. And so I was like, oh man, maybe they'll sing on this, maybe they won't. Because the lyrics have to fit with their beliefs and their vision for the world. Because they also march with Dr. King and, civil rights and all, Mavis alongside them, all of those elders that I've mentioned, they've been on the front lines musically of sharing joy and beauty and dreams. And so when we sent the song to them, I was like, what if they want to change some lyrics? We're already out of the studio. I can't go back. We did everything live. And they read the lyrics. They heard the song, and they were like, yep, we'll do it. And so I'm glad I got to work with them because they sang one of my songs on their record, Almost Home. I wrote a song called Train Fare, and they were looking for songs. And Mavis actually helped me write Train Fare. She doesn't know this, but she and I were on the phone when she wanted High Note and wanted a song, and she said, "You have to only do positive songs," is what Pop told me that I can do. And so I was like, positive songs. I had 150 songs, and I was like, I got like one positive one, and I gave it to her. Well, shortly after that, then other positive songs started to come. Train Fare came, and I started to get joy in different songs. There were positive messages, and I was like, oh, she opened a door for me in the songwriting ether or wherever. And so I had been working with them as a songwriter, but not on one of my own projects. And they remembered me, and they said yes when I came with one of my own projects. So cool.
So, when did you start thinking of yourself as a songwriter? How young were you?
I was little. I was like maybe just starting to talk. Like my niece is just starting to talk. And I would hear like voices singing about rainbows and frogs and different things in the play box. But I'm from a family of 5 kids, and we all sing. And when we went to church, we were surrounded by 500 singers, and everyone in the church sang. And we had no choir. If you played instruments, then that was against the law and against the rules. So you had to use your voice. And so, voice was the number one instrument for me through my life, and music was everywhere because my dad was a promoter, so he listened to music 24 hours a day, and my mom and dad took us to church every Sunday morning, every Sunday night, and every Wednesday. So we had those voices all week, and then when we weren't in the church, then we were singing ourselves to school. We were singing ourselves to grands, to the grocery store. We sang ourselves everywhere, like Sound of Music family or something. That's how we were. And so it really was very young, but I was scared. I was afraid to believe that I could be a musician because I couldn't. I had terrible rhythm, so I could not play an instrument until I got in my early 20s, and I got serious about learning how to play an instrument, and I taught myself how to stay on the beat because I was not. I was like, it was bad.
I can't imagine.
Oh, it was really bad. I got people who could tell you. They was calling me white girl on the cheerleading squad. They was like, all white, and they called me white girl. And I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have to learn how to get some rhythm. I can't have folks calling me white girl, and I'm the only black girl on the squad. No, there was one other girl on the squad, and that even made me look worse. So I had to step it up, and I got me a metronome, and I sat there every day with my guitar for 10 minutes. I'd go to work in the morning cleaning houses, get off from there, and go to Maggie's farm, and then get off from there and go play my little shows, and people let me get up there and be off beat for a few years. And then finally I got rhythm.
When did you segue from spiritual into secular music? Because obviously that formed the basis, but then you started playing other stuff. When did that happen?
Well, when I moved to Memphis from Humboldt and Jackson, Tennessee, I was working at a cafe, and all these artists would come in. There would be people like Craig Brewer, who did the film um, Poor and Hungry, Hustle and Flow. Eddie Murphy's Coming to America too, like Oscar-winning director. Before he won the Oscar, I was serving him coffee every morning, and different writers and playwrights and I'd just be so curious about them and how they made their living from making art only. How is this possible? And so then one day, I had a partner, my ex, who was a musician, and I said, we've got to get a set of songs together so we can go to the open mic and be like Johnny Mitchell and all of them in the 60s, where we can set up and play and see how it goes. And we went and did it, and people gave us so many tips. I couldn't believe it, and I was like, okay, well, we should keep going. So then we started burning CDs, and we packaged them ourselves, and I started going around to Memphis because my dad was a promoter, and we'd go to the radio stations all through West Tennessee and tell them about, oh, this show's coming, and go to the newspaper and different ones. So I knew how to promote, so I would go to Memphis Flyer, Commercial Appeal, all the bars in town, and be like, hey, I'm Valerie, I got a band. Can we get booked here? Hey, can you write about my band? And just like promote the music. And as we did that, we got quite a nice regional following going after a year or two. And so in those songs, and from the artists that I met at the cafe, they showed me the connection between Farther Along, that I sang in church with no instruments, and Mississippi John Hurt's singing Farther Along with his acoustic guitar, or Keep on the Sunny Side with the Carter family singing it, and us singing Keep on the Sunny Side in church. These gospel songs that were translating to country and country blues, I learned, that was my study of my early 20s, was how did we get from gospel to folk to blues to roots, and how did that get us then to Sister Rosetta Tharpe and Jimi Hendrix and Prince? How did we get to Beyonce? How did we get to where we were? So I've spent decades studying it. And also there's another side of this. Black history was something I never wanted to learn because of the pain. You could not sit me down with a W.E.B. Du Bois book and have me read The Souls of Black People. You could not sit me down and have me read Frederick Douglass, his life story, Frederick Douglass. You couldn't sit me down and teach me anything other than the beautiful side of Harriet Tubman. I didn't want to hear that way. I learned about my people through the blues. I learned about it through Robert Johnson, through Mississippi John Hurt, through Memphis Minnie, through Ma Rainey, through Bessie Smith. It's all in the songs. You can learn about us and who we are and our beauty, how gorgeous we are as a people, and then collectively as a nation of multi-beliefs and multi-races through our struggle. You can learn about that through the blues. And so then, after I'd studied that and I understood, I went back and I couldn't stop learning about everything from W.E.B. Du Bois to Ida B. Wells to Dr. King to Malcolm X. I wanted to know everything, so many different leaders and teachers, and such a beautiful story. And yes, it's painful, but if we look at it and we learn that the story and we see the injustices that are happening in the world and we choose to move toward joy as our people have, then it is a story for all the world. Because it's like, to be from the enslaved culture of African American roots, that story is such a heavy story in the human history of humanity that when you turn that story and you start really looking at all the hope and all the joy and all the freedom and where it still can go, then you own that. Not just, I'm saying you as a collective, like us as a collective, us as like a beautiful people, human species, different races, colors, kinds, beings, all souls. When we own that, wow, what we can be. what we can be and the joy that puts in my heart. I'm just like, yes, we haven't even tapped into the probability of positivity for the planet.
A,
We haven't
pa-
even tapped into
a particularly good message for right now.
it. Yes.
Serious. And the other thing, touching on how religion made civil rights an anchor, it's really quite amazing when you look back at that era and how much came through and, is woven in to the progression in a way that is unmistakable, is about humankind. And it's really so positive. I think you add to that culture kind of, with your stance, with the way that you frame your music. Keep going. I would love to just spend a day with you. I can't imagine what, like, just a normal day, if you're on the road, what you do. Wake up in the morning and have your tea. What do you do after that?
Well, there's 2 cups of black tea, sometimes 3, depending on where I'm at on the planet and if jet lag's involved. So there'll be the black teas, and then I go to the green teas because the day's around about 2, 3, and I can't do caffeine like that after 3. So then the green teas, and I'm steady for a little while on those, and then I'll get to the end of the night, and I'm on chamomile. I'm just like, I got to get chamomile now. So there's definitely like a rise in plant life in my life. And then lots of berries, lots of greens, lots of things like that. The food matters. That matters. And then it also matters to take these pauses, which they can be meditations. They can be like just observations, like, oh my God, is that a heart? Is that a heart? A trash heart on the ground in bubble gum? Just stopping for it, and being like, okay, I'm just going to be here with this right now. And those pause moments. But then, I try to do yoga each day. I try to dance every day. I try to make sure I get proper rest and, trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, I mean, jog. Physical activity is important to me because I'm diabetic, so I kind of need to regulate my sugar levels with being physical. But that also is a hereditary thing in a lot of African American lives, with hearts and diabetes, heart disease and diabetes. So, just balancing those things. And I'm just trying to think if there's anything else.
Bookstores?
Oh, lots.
Record stores?
Oh, yes. And yes, vintage
Artifacts?
stores. lots of those. Even if I just go in to see things. I like old things, so I like to go be around old things. I think that objects can carry energies, and you can like meet others through certain objects. Like I found this ring in Philadelphia after a show about maybe 13 years ago. The gentleman cleaning was like, everyone had cleared out, and he said, "Is this yours?" And I was like, "No." He said, "Well, it is now, and it's got a crack in it." And I love that. And a lady at a show a couple of nights ago, she came up and she had a turquoise ring on, and it had the same kind of stitching around. And she had a crack in hers, and we started talking about rings and this being an old pawn ring, and you not knowing what that person would have experienced that made them pawn it. And many indigenous cultures, they had to pawn their, people in the indigenous culture and Native American world had to pawn their jewelry and things. And so it's a responsibility to wear it, to care for it, to, if there's any energy in there that might be like of pain or whatever, to turn it, to shift it, to be an alchemist when I wear it, and to take that responsibility. Don't just have things. Understand like what the history of it is and put some good stuff in it so when someone gets it after you, that they can have it and it will carry something that's lifting them, So I like to have my music. I like to have my books. I like to have my things. And yeah, like most folks though.
Oh, I mean, I can't imagine being on the road with you. It's just, art comes out of you every which way. You embody it, you know. Would you share a poem with us?
Absolutely. I will read a poem from my book, Maps for the Modern World, and um, it's a poem that when I read the poem, I always say that, you know, I illustrated it. My mother is an artist, and growing up, there were oil paints all around, and she could paint something that looks exactly like if she was painting you, you look exactly like yourself. That's how great she is. And so I illustrated the book with about 100 illustrations, but my favorite illustration is this one. It's a blank page. The reason why is because Gran and everyone growing up, they said that we get a blank page every day. And when I was little, I was like, yeah, blank page. But as I got older, I was like, really? I get a blank page? I'm not sure about that. But I do think that we get the blank page every day. And so I left this blank so that people can fill it up with what they want to put there. And also, when I read this poem, I think about artists like Louis Armstrong. And I ask the crowd, do you believe we live in a beautiful world? Do you? I do too. And sometimes when I ask, I will get like maybe one person who says, yeah. Sometimes I'll get like, everybody's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. I believe we live in a beautiful world. And when Louis Armstrong sang that song, Wonderful World, I believe it's a wonderful world. And so when I think about the blank page, I think about those rainbows that he was talking about in the song and all the colors that we can paint this day with. And if we paint every single day times every single person with all of those colors, pretty magical. So here's the poem. You only have one day till the moonrise sunset down. Only one day before the sunrise moonset round. What will you do and where will you be found? Who will you be? Leave the earth wrapped love spellbound. You only have 1 hour before the stars shine midnight blue. Just a single hour till the clear sky morning dew. How will you face this bright day pathway new? And what words to write on this blank page lying beneath you? What will be said of your stargaze lightship eyes? And what could be heard of your bird flight across blue skies? Well, who would have seen your moon glow night dance twirls? And who would have guessed you'd sketch a rainbow painted world?
Beautiful. Could you guide us through a meditation?
Yes, I can. So, this is a meditation that I like to do as I'm going through the day. I'll hit some times in a day where it's just like maybe I read an article and somebody's doing something crazy and I'm just like, what? Or maybe like, I don't know, my partner might have said something to me that shifted my energy, or you just have times in the day. I might remember my father who's passed or a friend who's passed or whatever, and I'll feel odd. So the meditation is just stopping immediately, not doing anything else. As soon as I feel that, just stopping. And then bringing my awareness to my breath. So I invite you to bring your awareness to your breath. Taking a breath in and a breath out, and just bringing your awareness to it. And whatever that thing is that was something that kind of threw your balance off, then you're still breathing in it. And it's really just a 3-breath meditation because we're busy sometimes. So after I brought my awareness to my breath, then all together, breathing in, holding it, you're at home. And slowly releasing it out, holding it, you're at home. And breathing in, home, and breathing out, home. And we'll do a 4th one, in, home, and out, home. And if I can sit at home for a few times, as long as I can hold home, then I reset my energy and I'm ready for whatever comes up. I am ready. You can do anything. I'm ready. I'm like ninja, like Karate Kid ready.
Thank you. We didn't talk about one of the most powerful songs on the record, Owls, Omens, and Oracles. And before I say the name of it, I view you as a tree. I see your roots, and I see the branches, I see the leaves. I see you as that, all of the things that is. And the name of the song is Endless Tree. And it's incredible. What a powerful statement.
Well, thank you, because when I go visit forests and I hang out with trees, I look at my hair and I'm like, this is absolutely the roots of a tree. It's the branches, but it's also the roots. And I just feel very much connected with trees. And I think we all are. When my father did pass, I was at Willie Nelson's ranch. And I hadn't grieved at the funeral. I hadn't cried because I'm the big sister. I have an older brother, but I'm the big sister. So I pushed through and I didn't cry. And then I went on and I put out my record and I did shows and I was invited to Willie's. And it's called Luck, Texas. And I did my show. I sang Uncloudy Day. When I got off stage, I remember I was wearing a sparkly short sequin dress with some polka dot tights. I remember the outfit. I got off stage and I ran off stage actually, and I fell on the ground. And when I fell, I was in tears, and the tree caught me. And it said to me, we are older than you. We have been here before you, and we will be here after you. We are everywhere. There are all kinds of us. There are oaks, there are willows, there are pines. There are so many kinds of us. You can lean on us. You don't have to do it on your own. You don't have to carry it all yourself. And I was like, thank you, tree. But seriously, though, they are everywhere. And as I've traveled the world, I can do my 3 breaths. If that doesn't recenter me, I go see my trees. I have trees in so many different states and so many different countries. I go visit my trees, and they set you straight because they have a secret language. They communicate with each other, whether they be an oak or a willow or whatever kinds, maples, they communicate and they keep us alive, but they also lift each other up and they work cooperatively with each other. And so we can use them as our teachers and our guides. And I really look at nature and I'm like, okay, well, what can I learn from this very invasive kudzu or whatever it might be? They're all teaching us something. And I have a lot of plants and they're all teaching us something.
Would you sing a song for us?
Yes. This song's called Endless Tree. Okay. Oh my goodness. That's the hard part. Okay. I got it on. So, this song is Endless Tree. Are you ready to see a world where we could all be free as branches of an endless tree? May you seek and find it, although we may not all agree, still live together peacefully. Watching the news almost every night, telling the stories of all that ain't right. But what could be done from a house and a home? Sinking a sofa and feel so alone. Getting the courage to do something small, lifting the spirits of all that you saw.
feeling the tiniest spark in your heart, 'cause only an ember can light up the dawn. Are you ready to see a world where we could all be free as branches of an endless tree? May you seek and find it, although we may not all agree, still live together peacefully. Tell me, my brother, how love goes around. Neighbor to neighbor, we create a town. City to country, a nation is formed. Person to person, the kindness is born. There is a beauty in the number one, just like the moon and just like the sun. So if you're on the couch and you're feeling alone, may you feel moved after hearing this song. Are you ready to see a world where we could all be free as branches of an endless tree? May you seek and find it, although we may not all agree, still live together peacefully. Are you ready? Are you ready? People get it, people get it, people get ready. Are you ready? I wanna be ready, yeah. I wanna be ready, yes, I wanna be ready, yeah. Da 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 dee da 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 da. Hey, da da dee da 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 da. Hey, da da, I wanna be ready, yeah. Da 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 dee da 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 da. Yeah, da da dee da 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 da. Yeah, da da, I wanna be ready. Ready to see a world where we could all be free as branches of an endless tree. And may we seek and find it, although we may not all agree, still live together peacefully. Thank you.
I'd like to open it up to see if there's any questions in the house. We have a mic. That was gorgeous.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for what you do. It's so spiritual and fulfilling and positive and lovely and powerful and passionate. It's everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. Fangirling here. Anybody have any questions? Raise a hand or not? So the other thing that we're here to celebrate is the opening of this exhibit, which we're about to go see. Do you want to talk about how this came to be?
Well, I can thank Ayapa from Concord Records because he gave me a call and said, would you like to be featured in the National Museum of African American Music in Nashville? I was like, absolutely. And so I have been playing music for 2 decades, and I have trunks and cases in the upstairs with all kinds of memorabilia and different things. So outfits and posters and backstage passes and all kinds of cool things to share. So we'll see what we have in there.
How long did it take you to dig through the trunks, and how much stuff did you bring here?
I could not even get through more than one trunk. And I have about maybe 4.
Wow.
I have some in New York and some in Tennessee. And I keep backup in different locations in case there's a flood or something. Then I'm like, okay, I have that pass from Paris when I played at Fourvière in Lyon. Or I have this, or, I have 2 copies, usually of the things, and so I told my family, if I pass, maybe y'all can get something out of this. But then Ayapa gave me a call, and Dr. Pierce said, I've been a fan of yours since $5 Cover in Memphis. And that was a long time ago. And he said, we have got to get some of your work here at the museum. And I was like, what? And so him and Daisha my sister brought over all the pieces because I had to fly off and be on tour, and I left them with her. She brought them over. They took time to go through each piece. I had records, like some of the ones that I burned, where I would have to put them in a cardboard sleeve, and then I printed up stickers at Kinko's. That's what it was before it was FedEx Office, and put that sticker on there and sold them out the trunk of my car for Concord got me. Luckily, I got signed to Concord. But I would be at my coffee shop gigs, and I would have a little stand, and I put my burnt bootleg record up there and sell that there. I sold them at Maggie's Farm when I was selling the herbs and teas and stuff. That probably what got me into tea. But I would put them there, and some of my customers would buy them. And so over the years, the people who have seen me from when I was busking or when I was selling coffee or when I was working at the different places, they've been a part of the journey. And so they've been a part of the whole story, and they know the story more than anybody. They could be like, I remember when Valerie was down doing blah, blah. And they remind me. So I stay very grounded. I have the best fans in the world, and some of them are creative and like painters and sculptors, and have sent me paintings. So you might even see some fan art in the exhibit.
So you don't know what's in.
I don't know yet what they chose.
We have to explore together. And we're going to do that in just a minute. I know also that you're getting ready to go out on tour behind the new album.
Yes.
So how many cities? Do you have any idea off the top of your head?
Well, I think there's 39 cities.
Exactly.
Yes. So we've already done 5. So we have a little ways to go, and it's been so fun. Some fans who like fell in love to a song have come to gigs. Like in London, I had a couple come, and they fell in love to the song. They got married to the song, and they came to say, hey, guess what we got coming? All to your song. And I was like, oh, my God, that baby is coming. Oh, my God. And then I have other fans that might have been 13, came with their parents, and now they're in their 20s, and they brought a photo. Or I have fans who are like me, getting in their grays, and when they first started to come to my shows, they were totally like brunettes or whatever, and now they've got their grays coming in, and I'm just like, whoa, guys, we are getting there. We're growing together, and we're changing, and we're going through so much, but they're still there. And this is like, people would be like, I've listened to you for 10 years. I listened to you for 15 years. And I'm just like, well, shoot, I'm almost famous. You know that movie, Almost Famous? I ain't Beyonce, but they remember me. You know, my fans, they're growing with me, and I appreciate that. And I think that that's more my path. My path is one where I get to be a part of all these kind of really amazing lives all throughout the planet through song, and I love it. It's really fun. But I also, after the shows, will go and get to talk to them and spend time with them. So I think that's how we grow together.
It's a blessing.
Yeah, it's fun.
Such a blessing. And it's just been wonderful talking to you today, and I can't wait to see the exhibit. Thank you so much, Valerie June, for being here.
Thanks
at
for having
NMAAM.
me. Thank you, Jesse.
Oh, a pleasure talking to you always. Thank you so much, all of you, for attending. And, well, it's almost time.
Yes, thank you all so much for